Okay, now we can start looking at hashes in Perl. Let me open up a blank notepad document. Now, hashes are sort of like arrays, but not quite. The difference between the hash and the array is that the hash key, so to say, is defined with an arbitrary string. Okay, so back in arrays, if you could remember, we could target a position in an array with a number. Here we'll be doing that with a name or an arbitrary string. Okay, so let's just take a look at this. First, let's use strict. And you might want to get in the habit of that. If you're following along with me and you're doing things on your own and messing with code and creating your own stuff, use strict for your own sake. Okay, and now the hash, well, first of all, we'll say my is defined with %, so we'll say my hash. Okay, and here's one of the ways in which we can create a hash, just like the array. Okay, so we can also, we'll look at another way to structure this in a moment, and for now let's just use, well, no, we'll use two hash keys here, and we'll have two hash values. Okay, so we'll say hash key. Here we'll say hash value, and we'll say another key and another value. Okay, so now that's that. Let's look at a way that we can, I'm going to just stretch that out a bit for you. Let's look at the rendering of our hash, and this is also slightly different than an array, because when we render our hash, it's going to render at Perl's convenience. Okay, so it's not always going to necessarily be rendered in the way that we defined it. So let's see if we can get an example of that. We'll use the while loop, and here's a way that we can render a hash. Okay, we would first say, let's just say key value, and then each my hash. And I'll structure my while loop like so, even though we could do it on one line if we'd like. Okay, so then we'll say print, we'll just say key contains value \n for a new line. Okay, so that's that. Let's save this as hash.pl in our Perl folder like so, and we'll say Perl run our hash.pl, and we have an error, and that is because use strict my hash key value. Okay, even though this is defined, what we could do to get around that is we can just say my. And here we can see hash key contains hash value, another key contains another value. Okay, so that's just how it works. Let me see if I can point out something else for you. For the sake of time and space, I'm going to clear that out and run it again. Okay. Now let's throw, I'm just going to throw another key and value onto the top of this. Okay, and I really hope that this renders out of order, because truly it does. Okay, so we'll say num key, just because, and we'll hit Control S to save and run. Yeah, okay, see here, we've defined num key first, but it ran last. Okay, but it rendered last. Okay, so that's another difference between the array and the hash. Simple enough. And so you may be wondering, how do we sort our hashes? And how do we add key value pairs, so to say, to our hash? Well, let's take one thing at a time, and let's say, first let's add a hash key and a hash value to my hash. We can do that by saying $, my underscore hash, and here we don't have to use the my keyword or operator because we've already done so here. So my hash, and here is where we define the key. So we'll say all caps, we'll say new hash key, and then we can give it a value. We'll say new hash value. I'm just using all capital letters so that we can see when this renders. Oops, and we'll run, and there we have it. Our new hash key and value has been added into our hash. Okay, so that's that. Now, for organization purposes and for the sake of other programmers, you might find it beneficial to structure your hashes like so. So you can use the equals and arrow sign. Okay, and that's really just for your benefit or the benefit of others when they read your source. And now people are even going as far as to sort out, well, they probably already have been, but I noticed that people are starting to do this more now. Control S to save that, and we'll get the same results now. Okay? So just another way to structure your hash for the sake of code cleanliness and organization. Okay, so now we want to know how to sort this, like we did back in the array videos. Okay, so what we can do is we'll use a for looping structure, and we'll say my key, okay, and we're going to use key to represent the hash keys, okay, and then we're going to render our hash with this key in the loop as we sort. Okay, so let's check that out, and I'm going to introduce something new here, and this is a way to access the hash keys. Okay, so because we want to sort them, so we'll sort the keys of my hash. Okay, and then what we want to do excuse me, is we want to get the value within our hashes, okay, and assign it to a value so we can print it, basically, right? And just so we can see different ways to work with and manipulate hash keys and values. Okay, so we'll just say v equals, and then we'll say, now just like we defined a value to our hash key, and we're going to do something similar. So we'll say, but this time we're going to access the value with the key, and we're going to assign it to a variable called v. So we'll say my hash, hash, and here we'll say each key as we loop through the hash. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll print our sorted keys that are inside of the hash. Okay, so we'll say key v \n for new line, and we'll hit Control S to save and run. And global symbol v requires an explicit package name. Okay, so now we're grateful that we use strict. Now this probably would have ran without a problem, but you want to keep your code clean and usable and integratable. Okay, so that should do it. Let's run that again. If I saved, did I? We'll find out. Yeah. Okay, we're good. So let's take a look at what we have. See if I can squeeze both of these in here. Probably not. Anyways, we don't need this. So we have hash key contains hash value, another key contains another value, num key contains 10, okay, and then hash key contains new value, and this is the key and the value that we added to our existing hash. And then we went on to sort our hash keys, and notice how the capital letter precedes the lowercase. Okay, so new hash key, new hash value, A, another key, H, hash key, N, num key. And just to prove that, let's see here, let's take hash key and put a capital A in front of it. So here's hash key. Let's put a capital A in front of that, and we'll see that will precede new hash key when we run. And there we have it. A hash key, hash value, new hash key, new hash value, another key, another value. Okay, so let's take num key and make that have precedence over all others. So we'll go to num key here, and again, this is just to demonstrate how the sorting works here. Okay, so let's save that, and there we have it. Yep, a num key, a hash key, new hash key, another key. Okay, so that's that. I think I'll leave it at that for now. We've been running for quite a while now. Please subscribe to my channel. Please leave me comments and give me a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.